fixing it up.
Mhm.
Bye-bye. 94.3 The Ox, Aaron Lewis, and that ain't country on your wet and wild Monday ride, 8:30 now, and time for Coffee Talk, brought to you by the Comanche Chamber of Commerce and Agriculture. Check them out at #Explore Comanche, Texas, as we welcome into the studio and say good morning to Cynthia Newton with Hope Counseling. How we doing?
Good morning. Doing well. Doing well.
Did you stay dry on the way in?
I don't know. I mean, it was like it was dry, and then I walked in my office, and then I walked out, and it was wet again. So this is weird.
Not that would affect you. Anybody that can wrestle stickers and barbed wire,
No kidding.
getting wet's nothing.
Nothing. No. Yeah. Thorns.
She is
mosquitoes.
cowgirl tough.
And then tell y'all what. I mean, I look like I was in a wrestling match.
Kind of were. Yeah. I got $5 on the barbed wire.
Trust me, you'll win.
What are we discussing today, Cynthia?
We are going to talk about failure this morning.
Oh,
so,
fairly familiar with that.
Yeah, I mean, like failing against a barbed wire fence. But no, we're going to actually talk about failure and how to deal with it and how to cope with it and how to bring yourself back up from failure. Because the reality is failure is something that we all deal with. You don't want to hear that.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't. We don't want to hear that. But the reality is we see it everywhere. Okay, we're going to deal with it everywhere. In our high achieving society, everybody's like, okay, you've got to be on top, you've got to do all of this. Failure is often seen as the worst possible scenario.
Sure.
That somebody can encounter. Rather than embracing failure as a learning and growth opportunity, those who fail in some aspect will often see it as an immovable barrier, telling them that they are not capable of overcoming their weaknesses. And, I think about this, and I think about kids, and I think about us as adults, and it's just like, this just rings true in so many aspects.
Right.
But the truth is that failure is never the end of the road. It is simply an indicator that there are some parts of ourselves in our lives that we need to put more effort into in order to get the results that we desire. So, failure can make us feel less competent. I know that's a big
naturally,
word.
yeah.
That's a very big word for you, Kyle, but,
Well, I don't know anything about confidence.
I didn't think you did. Confident or intelligent, yet it's inevitable. We've all experienced it. And while in the short term it can be debilitating, it can also be a springboard to a new learning experience and can sometimes be life-changing. Success and failure are considered opposites, but in fact, they work hand in hand. That's kind of a cool thing to think about. Opposites, but yet they work together. We're going to actually figure that out, okay? Because I know you have a very puzzled look on your face like I'm talking
Well,
out.
I'm thinking there's
Crazy.
a lot of great inventions that were invented through failure. Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So failure is part of being human and is impossible to avoid. But how we deal with failure will determine our success and how we grow and prosper. So let's talk about some common things that happen in life that may look like failures. Breakups, divorces, cheating on a diet. Everybody, okay, we're getting right past those New Year's resolutions at the end of it.
A snackadient is what they call that. That's when you cheat on your diet. I saw that this morning. Not
finishing a degree you started, or your relationships with kids or families that aren't going the way you want them to. So those are just some examples. I mean, you could think of a lot, and I could probably go on forever, but I know y'all don't want to hear about what all the failers are, because
You're all very aware of them.
Very, 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 very aware. So, it is what it is. It's all failure, right? So I want you to think for a minute. Have you ever been so afraid of failing at something that you decided not to try it at all?
Sure. I think everybody's done.
Everybody has.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is what can happen. Or the fear of failure meant that subconsciously you undermined your own efforts to avoid the possibility of a larger failure. Many of us have experience of that. So the fear of failing can be immobilizing. It can cause us to do nothing and therefore resist moving forward. But when we allow fear to stop our forward progress in life, we're likely to miss some great opportunities along the way. It's like, okay, yeah, so the fear, not just failure, but the fear of failure itself. Did you know that I'm going to teach you a new word today?
The only thing to fear is fear itself.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay.
Right.
What were you going to teach me?
Repeat after me.
Okay.
Atychophobia.
Atychophobia.
Say it one more time.
Atychophobia.
That is good job. See, I got him to say it.
That's
So I
the
didn't
fear
have
of
to stumble.
failure?
That is literally the fear of failure. It is
Wow.
a phobia that exists. So trust me, if you want to know what your phobias are, you just Google them, and there's like millions of them. I can't tell you them all, but anyway. But yes, atychophobia is actually the fear of failure. And it's when we allow that fear to stop us doing the things that can move us forward to achieve our goals. So fear of failure can be linked to many causes, all right? For instance, having critical or unsupportive parents is a cause for some people because they were routinely undermined or humiliated in childhood. They carry those negative feelings into adulthood. Experiencing a traumatic event at some point in your life also can be a cause. You might experience some or all of the symptoms if you have a fear of failure, such as a reluctance to try new things or get involved in challenging projects. I'm still stumbling. Self-sabotage.
That atychophobia got you.
Self-sabotage. For example, procrastination, excessive anxiety, or a failure to follow through with goals. Low self-esteem or self-confidence, commonly using negative statements such as, I'll never be good enough to get that promotion, or I'm not smart enough to get on that team. Perfectionism, a willingness to try only those things that you know you'll finish perfectly and successful. So a fear of failure can actually cause these things to happen. It's almost impossible to go through life without experiencing some kind of failure. Are we getting that, in our heads at this point? Okay.
Yeah.
People who do so probably live so cautiously that they go nowhere. Put simply, they're not really living at all. The wonderful thing about it is that it's entirely up to us to decide how to look at it. We can choose to see failure as the end of the world or as proof of just how inadequate we are. Or we can look at failure as the incredible learning experience that it often is. Every time we fail at something, we can choose to look for the lesson we're meant to learn. These lessons are very important. They're how we grow and how we keep from making that same mistake again. Failures stop us only if we let them. Totally lost my place. Failure can teach us things about ourselves that we would never have learned otherwise. For instance, failure can help you discover how strong a person you are. Failing at something can help you discover your truest friends or help you find unexpected motivation to succeed. Often, valuable insights come only after a failure. Accepting and learning from those insights is key to succeeding in life. So we've talked about, what is failure?
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about the fear of failure,
Mm-hmm.
right? Okay. Just making sure I've gotten all of that, right?
Oh, yeah.
You're following along. You're good, right?
There'll be a test later.
There will be. So now we're going to talk about psychological research and what it suggests are the key traits to success. I'm not trick-or-treating this morning, I promise. A growth mindset relates to the belief that you can grow and learn if you work hard enough. It involves tenacity, and conceptualizes failure as a temporary condition. Determination is a combination of perseverance and passion, chasing goals and not letting setbacks stunt progress. Resilience allows us to have knockbacks, but to be able to get back up on our feet afterwards and find a way through the difficulties by being positive and using our strengths. And finally, psychological flexibility is the ability to adapt to change using creativity and the ability to problem solve. So all of these traits allow people to harness failure as a tool, enabling them to become more successful as a result. What a concept.
Yeah.
Interesting, huh?
Yeah.
So, how not to be afraid of failure. So we're just like taking this now. All right, first off, realize that everything we do, there's always a chance that we're going to failure. That's not a negative outlook.
Yeah.
It's a realistic outlook.
Sure.
Okay? It's not always the glass is half full or the glass is half empty. Sometimes the glass is just half.
Spilt all over the floor.
Or, yeah, that too. So here's a few ways to reduce that. Analyze all your potential outcomes. Many people experience fear because they fear the unknown, maybe not knowing what might be out there. Learn to think more positively. Positive thinking is an incredible, powerful way to build self-confidence. Look at the worst-case scenario. In some cases, the worst-case scenario may be genuinely disastrous, and it may be perfectly rational to fear failure. In other cases, however, the worst case may actually not be that bad, and recognizing this can help. Having a contingency plan. If you're afraid of failing at something, having a plan B in place can help you feel more confident about moving forward.
Sure.
Okay, so preparing.
Little safety net.
Absolutely. So how to stop living in fear. If you're afraid of failure, you might be uncomfortable setting goals, but goals help us define where we want to go in life. All right, so research shows that people who have a fear of failure were often left in a strong negative mood after being asked to visualize goals and goal attainment. Why do you think that is? Because when we think goals, we're thinking long term, right?
Most of the time.
So what can you do instead? Look at setting a few small goals. These should be goals that are slightly but not overwhelming. Don't do that New Year's resolution of, I'm going to lose 100 pounds this next year. No,
set yourself up.
Set those small goals. Look at things like, I'm going to lose 5 pounds, in the month of January, and do it a little bit at the time. If you've been too afraid to talk to the new department head, then possibly the person that might give you that promotion, make that first goal to just stop by your office and introduce yourself. Or imagine that you've dreamed of returning to school and you're convinced that you're not smart enough to do it. So set a goal to talk to the school counselor and admissions office to see what's required for admissions. Again, tiny steps is going to help you attain that bigger goal. So don't focus on the end, but focus on the little stuff to get to that end. So taking one small step will help build your confidence and keep you moving forward and prevent you from getting overwhelmed with visions of your final goal. And so the rest of the story.
Paul Harvey.
I know, isn't that cool? I can be so funny. Is how do you deal with failure and pick yourself back up? All right, so first off, how do you deal with failure? Acknowledge the failure. Don't dwell on it and take it personally, but acknowledge it. My papers are all out of order. This is when I need Alyssa here. View failure as learning an opportunity and taking notes. All right, create a map that will help translate failure into success. Accept responsibility for your role in the failure. Remind yourself of past failures and successes when faced with a large failure. I'm going to choke. You're choking me up.
Easy.
Sorry, I don't mean to cough, y'all, but he's choking me up here. What should we do after we fail at something? Accept what has happened. Be open and honest. Keep it in perspective. Give yourself time to heal. Create a plan. Lead by example. Try fast failure. What does that mean?
Try fast failure.
Try something new quickly.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So it may have flaws, but try that fast failure. Go ahead and just try something new right after you fail. That's fast failure.
Okay, I got you.
Share ideas.
Bounce back.
Absolutely. Have an open, honest work culture where ideas are readily shared and constructive feedback is given, and have a dress rehearsal. Even before any soft opening or launch, allow things to go wrong before it's vital. That way, if they go wrong, you're going to be prepared for that. You're going to be prepared for what might go wrong. Sure. No, you can't prepare for everything. Absolutely not. We know that. I mean, let's be a little bit on the realistic side.
If we could do that, there wouldn't be no failure.
But you can prepare on some level. Okay.
Right.
So failure can be daunting, but it doesn't have to be. You're always capable of taking your failure and turning it into success if you approach it the correct way. There's many people that have inspiring stories of what they've learned from their failures, and really, I mean, just Google there's a book actually on 48 famous failures who will inspire you to achieve. Okay, so look at that, kind of Google that, look and see what's out there, because there's a lot of famous failures. Yes, sure. Where we can look at our own failures, absolutely, but there's a lot of famous ones that might even inspire you in ways that you didn't know you could possibly overcome yourself. So being afraid of failure can be a symptom of something more serious, a mental health condition, which is one of the things that I always want to point out. Negative thinking can cause severe health problems and mental health problems, and even in extreme cases, death. While these techniques have been shown to have a positive effect on reducing stress, they are for guidance only, and you should be aware that you need to take the advice of a suitable, qualified health professional if they have any concerns over related illnesses or if negative thoughts are causing significant or persistent unhappiness. So just remember that health professionals, mental health professionals should also be consulted, especially if you're looking at major diet changes or major exercise changes. I'm not going to sit here and tell you to go do that and jump into that without consulting a physician first, because you don't want to do anything that can actually be a detriment to you as well. So, I mean, the reality is we're all going to fail. Failure is what you make of it, okay? I mean, I could have gotten really mad yesterday at the fence and walked away and gave up when I was really failing, but I didn't. I stuck through it and came out.
Got the scars to prove
I've got the scars to prove it, and and it's accomplishment. Just like last year, I could have given up when we went through Snowmageddon on our farm, and we suffered through that. We're fixing to deal with this year, hopefully not near what we dealt with last year, but because of what I went through last year, I know how to prepare better for this year.
Yep.
So because of some of the little things that did go wrong last year, it's like, oh, okay, I know how to prepare a little bit better just in case.
Sure.
I know we're all going, okay, we can't go through what we went through last year, but there's always the possibility that things could always be worse than what they are saying.
Absolutely.
There's not 100% guarantee in the weather. We know that. So anyway, learning and overcoming are huge when it comes to failure, because you're going to fail here, but take that turnaround and move forward and make something of it and learn from it. And that's the best way to deal with failure as well. So guys, we're here for you at Hope Counseling of Texas, 4 offices in Hamilton, Comanche, Dublin, and Eastland. Sorry, I did it in the wrong order, so I got confused.
I could tell.
I was like, wait a minute, which one? 325-356-1105. Please give us a call if we can do anything to help you. Again, Comanche, Hamilton, Eastland, and Dublin. We're here for you. 325-356-1105, or find us on Facebook at Hope Counseling of Texas. Let us know if there's anything we can do. Also, I had somebody make a comment this morning, and please be aware, if there's anything specific that you want me to talk about, or really a subject that's really, personal to you, don't hesitate to reach out to us and let us know, hey, would you talk about this one Monday or something? Because, this isn't for me. I mean, I can get up and talk all day long, but this isn't for me. This is about the listeners and them learning something or gaining some insight into something. So.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you.
Cynthia, thanks for stopping by. Yeah, I was trying to think.